ABC. It's a tape of Israeli military ringing to warn a Palestinian in Gaza that his house is a target. I don't know why, whether it's got weapons there or whatever. It's a target, and he must get his children out before the bomb comes. Wait for the amazing response.
انت طخ اللي بدك اياه سويه اللي بتنزل الارض وتتلقاه.
لا اخوي لازم الواحد لازم يعمل كل شيء منشان ما تموت.
احنا
بدنا عندك مسؤوليه على الاطفال.
بدنا نموت، كل الاطفال لازم يموتوا.
لا سمح الله بدك تستشهد
عشان تبين بشاعتكم.
But let's see what these non-violent and very proportionate rockets of the Hamas terrorists have been up to. I'm joined from the Israeli side of the border crossing to Gaza from town not far away, Sderot, by Emily Schrader, a columnist with the Jerusalem Post and founder of Social Light Creative, which helps send Israelis warnings of rocket attacks. Emily, thank you so much for your time. First off, that tape that I just played, what does that tell you?
Well, I'm really glad you played that tape because it was actually something that I wanted to bring up. Of course, this is something that we know it's a tactic that Hamas uses, and we know that they are firing from civilian areas. And unfortunately, we see that the indoctrination in much of the Palestinian territories, and in particular Gaza, runs very, very deep. And quite honestly, when I watched that video, first I was shocked, and then I was sad, really heartbroken, because this really is a testament to how little they care about their own people.
And these rockets now being fired by Hamas, more than 3,200 the last time I looked. I'm sure it's more since. Israel has been accused of strangling Gaza with blockades, but yesterday it did allow a convoy of aid to go into that Palestinian enclave. Can you tell us what happened next?
Right. So yesterday, Israel did approve humanitarian aid crossing into Gaza through Kerem Shalom. However, after the first 8 convoys went through the crossing, Hamas actually fired rockets at that crossing, even though it was their humanitarian aid for their people going through. And the remainder of the convoy was not able to cross through with humanitarian aid. In addition, one of the soldiers who was present securing the aid and was involved in the transfer was actually injured from shrapnel from that rocket in the process.
Well, accident or a tactic, Emily?
This is a tactic. This is definitely a tactic that we've seen from Hamas. We know that they want the people to suffer because, as you saw in that video, when the people suffer, they're able to portray Israel in a negative light. And unfortunately, that's what we see. My specialty is in digital marketing and digital media, and it's what we see in the social media war as well, that this is not just a battle being fought in reality with bombs, but also online, the war of propaganda. And unfortunately, they have quite a bit of propaganda.
If I may suggest, that is in fact the main battlefield. The West's public, the public's opinion in the West is what it's really trying to fight, and everything else is a show for it. Can you tell me how you see Western media? Is it falling for it? Is it resisting it? How is it at portraying what's really going on?
So I did do a cursory search of this issue with the humanitarian aid, and unfortunately it wasn't really reported in most of the international press. It was reported in the Israeli media, of course. I didn't see it in hardly any other places, which is quite disappointing because I think it's really a testament to what the situation is on the ground here. In addition to that, I also wanted to add that this isn't the first time Hamas has struck something that provides electricity or power to their own community. Back in 2014, during Operation Sukeitan, they did the same thing. And just a few days ago, they struck a power line which provides electricity to 250,000 Palestinians. And in addition to that, that provides the electricity for the drainage. So Hamas actually ended up cutting off water and power to 250,000 Palestinians. And when this was posted, Ismail Haniyeh on Twitter actually celebrated this. They are celebrating the suffering of their own people.
Yes, and the media just will not, the Western media will not pay any attention to what it's doing to itself. I find it just so extraordinary. I find it depressing. And for you, it must be frightening. Emily Schrader, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.